Alright, so you've secured your site with a TLS certificate, or SSL is what we used to call them, so that you're using the HTTPS protocol. And you're getting a little symbol here that says secure, but over on the right hand side you're getting a little icon that says this page is trying to load scripts from unauthenticated sources. Now it's going to be similar in Firefox. Over on the left hand side you're going to see sort of the shield, but then there will be a little indicator saying maybe not entirely secured. We're going to use Chrome here because it has a really great inspect tool. So I'm going to use Control-Shift-I to pull up my list here. If you don't have a full list, you can reload the page. I'm sorting this column by status so that these two items come up top. You're going to see that the status is blocked mixed content. So what that means is that these particular resources are not loaded, and it's giving us that little warning up here. The first one is actually found right within the HTML of the index page, and the second one is found within the components.js line 220. So this inspect tool actually helps us really dig through and find out where things are. What this does here, just as a little summary here, is trying to load a YouTube iframe API, but using the HTTP protocol. Same with this, is using the HTTP protocol. It's trying to load a CDN or content delivery network resource for Font Awesome. Okay, so I'll show you how to dig into this. So for every resource that you're finding here that is blocked, we need to go resolve that. So let's go and do the first one first. We're going to load up the index.html and we're going to find Font Awesome. Okay, so here it is. It's actually make sure we find all of them. There's actually a couple of them. So let's just make sure we change that to HTTPS. Now you can also use protocol independent, which is just this here. However, if you're testing locally on your local machine without using localhost, if you're just using a preview in browser and it's in your file system, this is not going to work if you use the protocol independent reference here, because when you're viewing it locally, it uses a reference to a file, and that's not a proper protocol. So you can either, if you're just viewing things live, you can use this, or you can specify explicitly HTTPS. Take a look at the second one. Oh, it's actually the same reference there. And then there is actually only the one reference. Okay, so that's fantastic. So we're going to save that, and then we're going to publish this out, and we're going to test. Okay, so that's just taking a second to publish that particular file out. Okay, now sometimes some of these changes that you make, for example here, this is within an editable region, okay? Which means that when we make this change, it changes just on this one page, but it may be that we want to make this change across a number of pages. So what we would maybe do is a global find and replace. So in this case, actually, we're going to go Control F. We're going to find the original, which was HTTP, and then replace it with HTTPS. Okay. First of all, why don't we find all, see how many there are. Oops. That's one of these things. Make sure you say entire current local site. Okay, find all. So it's going to search through the entire site for these references. It looks as though there are only two, just the contact page and the index page, which I find very interesting. Oh, are we searching on? Looks like it didn't actually do what we wanted it to do. We're going to find all of those. There we are. There's a whole lot of them throughout the entire site. So what we would do here is we would go and find the original and replace. So we're going to replace all. It's going to give us this warning. It can't be undone. We understand that. We're going to do that. It's going to make all these changes throughout your entire website. And depending upon how many pages you have in your site, it may take a little while. So we're just about done here. So the next step here is, of course, we need to, if this were something that was not in an editable region, say maybe the reference was within the footer reference of scripts. You see how this is sort of a non-editable region. If you have a script that's within one of these non-editable regions, it's part of the template DWT file, you would need to make your change here in template DWT. In this case, let's just find it here, all of these are already using HTTPS. Okay, So there's no issue there. But when you do make a change in these, sorry, this would be the region here. This looks to be an editable region. When you do make a change in the template that is not an editable region, you need to save, and then it will apply those changes throughout your site, just like doing a global find and replace. All right, so now that is done and complete, we're going to test. We're going to reload this. And we're just going to pull up the inspect tool once more, and we're going to see that at the very top there's only one item left, which is the components.js. So we're going to go back to our editor. We're going to go into the site, JavaScript, components.js, line 220. 220. Oh, there we are. Oh, it looks like 218 here, but it's pretty close. That gives us a clue anyways. Change it to HTTPS. We're going to save, and then we're going to publish that file. Now if you're using a different editor such as Expression Web, the functions that I'm doing here are all the same. It's just the interface is different. But making the change in the code is the same, doing a global find and replace is the same, modifying the template DWT is the same, and then of course uploading your files. So we're going to go back. We've uploaded that. We're going to reload this. Now pay attention here. When we're going to want to make sure that we empty the cache, because that JavaScript, or yeah, the JavaScript file may still be cached. So as it's reloading, we're going to see here that this icon will then disappear and not come back. There we go. And notice now that YouTube video is playing in the background. So it's completely secure at this point. Now just a couple other points. Depending upon the different design that you use, if you're using something from us, sometimes there are some situations where there are resources that are loaded not within the page that can sort of be hidden. Okay, one of those would previously in some of our designs would be found somewhere in a styles.css or maybe even a fonts.css, and usually somewhere up in the top there's an external import. So we're doing a direct link to an external file such as a Google font, and sometimes those are hard-coded to HTTP. So you can change those there. So that's sort of a tip of other things that you can look for. Now, if you're using WordPress rather than a website template, I'm going to be doing a secondary video that'll explain how to make changes for WordPress, because sometimes it's a little bit more difficult or complicated because everything is protected behind the WordPress backend. But there you go. That's what you do for a typical website.